friends, this is Jessica with Tiny Worlds of Wonder, and today I am popping in to share a craft that I really love. Now this is not diamond painting related. If you're here for the diamond paintings, don't worry, we'll be back to diamond paintings all the time. So check back in later if that's more your style. It's totally cool. But today I wanted to share a craft called paper tole, or 3D decoupage, as it's sometimes called. And this is a craft that's not super popular here in the States. It's really popular in places like New Zealand, Australia, Russia, Ukraine, places like that. But I think it's such a fun and such an interesting and cool craft that it would be great if it became a little more popular here in the States. It's so much fun. So paper tole is basically the process of taking identical prints of a picture and cutting them out, cutting pieces of each image out, and layering them on top of one another so you get a three-dimensional picture. So I have a couple of finished examples here I want to show you first, and then I'll pull out some kits that I have in progress and sort of show you what that process is like. So because this is a piece that's finished but not framed, I thought I'd start with this one so that I could show you sort of how this is assembled. I wish I knew the name of the artist for this painting, but the last name is Peterson. Super cute picture. I think this would be great in a kid's bedroom. But as you can see, I've sort of layered up, cut out and layered up different pieces of this image to create a really three-dimensional effect. And it's so fun. So I've just used a craft silicone, and I'll show that to you in a minute here, to create a raised area going from the foreground to the background. So that's my first finished piece. I love this one. It's so cute. It was so much fun to do. All right, next up we have the girl singing with her dog. I have this picture hanging up in my piano studio, and it's so funny, I think. I was actually able to find this frame at the thrift store and then just take this to Michael's and have a mat cut that would fit it. So that was a lucky find. But this picture is super cute. I really, really like this one. It was really fun to do. And because it's so small, it was a pretty quick finish too. But that one's a lot of fun. This one is one of the flower fairies, and I've actually done probably 5 or 6 of the flower fairies in paper tole, but I've gifted all but this one. So this one is in my daughter's room, and it's so cute. Just love it. If I tilt it, you can probably kind of see some of the layers there. This one I think actually used like eight copies of this print. It was very raised. Some of the areas are very raised on this one. But again, I was able to find a frame that fit it randomly at the thrift store. I don't know how that happened twice, but I've never found another frame with a spacer bar in it, but those were 2 really lucky finds. And then last up, of the pieces that I still have, I've done a lot more paper tole than this, but I've gifted most of it at this point. So this is a Kim Jacobs courtyard, and I forget what the name of the print is actually, but I loved it because it has all my favorite things in it. It's got books and coffee and dessert, which you can't go wrong with that. I'll get a lot of glare on the glass for this one, but this one was so much fun. Used a lot of prints again. It does have some acetate, like in the windows and on the door, so that it looks like glass in the windows. That was super fun. Super fun to do. This one's hanging in my kitchen, and I really love looking at it every single day. This one I did have professionally framed, and I was pretty sad because in my last move it got beat up here in the corner a little bit, but still love it. Still really, really love it. All right, so those are some of my finished pieces. Let me break out some of the prints that I have in progress here. And I'll show you some of the tools that you might need if you are interested in taking on a paper tole of your own. So this is a piece that I started, I kind of go in waves on my crafts, so I'll do a whole lot of paper towel for a while and then put it away for quite a while. So I started this one quite a while ago, but I'll kind of show you the prints and how everything comes when you're first getting started. So here's an example of some of the prints that I have. This one uses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 6 plus 1 for your base, and I've just attached this with some acid-free tape onto a piece of cardboard. You just want to mount it on some kind of backing board. And then you always get, if you buy a kit, a set of instructions, and this has a cutting guide for all of your prints, and then directions and other information. So what I like to do when I first get my prints is actually to coat the back side with some Mod Podge or other kind of varnish, just because it makes them a little more sturdy and actually a little easier to cut out. They fray a little bit less. Now, I learned the hard way that you do have to be careful about laying them on top of one another if you use Mod Podge, because they can stick a little bit. I don't think I've done any damage to any of the pieces I actually need on these prints, but you do want to lay them face to face, right sides together, as you would say in sewing, right? Just to make sure you don't get any damage to your prints. And then the next step that I always like to do is just to go through my cutting guide and cut out all my pieces. So what I do is just take a Ziploc baggie for each, like this one says base, for each print, and then put my little pieces for each print into the bag so that when I start to assemble them, I can keep track of what number they are. I also, once I cut them out, see if I can find one I've done here. This is a different print, but once I've cut them out, I also write the number on the back so that when I'm assembling, I know exactly what order to assemble it, because you're always going to assemble 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. like that. Okay. So that's kind of the basic process if you get a kit. Now, there are paper towel artists out there who are amazing, who don't use kits. They're artists. They do it freehand. I'm a noob. I like to use the kit. I think it's a lot of fun, and it helps me get a really good result without too much fuss. So some tools that you're going to need besides your prints and something to mount your base print on, and then maybe your Mod Podge to coat the backs of your prints. You're obviously going to need a cutting mat and an X-Acto knife, and make sure your X-Acto knife is really, really sharp. I like to color the edges of each of my pieces just with a regular lead pencil or a charcoal pencil, just to minimize the amount of white paper you can see around the edge of each piece. That's optional, but I found that to be helpful. Just like the Mod Podge on the back of the prints is optional, but I found it to be helpful. You also may want to invest in a foam mat. I found this one from Stampin' Up, which was pretty cool. And then this is a shaping tool. I think I got this on papertoolkits.com also, along with the paper towel glaze that I used. But this just helps you shape your pieces into a more realistic shape. So you can see on a couple of these, like with my beams here, I folded them so that they look a little bit more like a wood beam would actually look. So that tool, that paper shaper, can be really helpful for doing that. And then this is the silicone I use. So clear dimensional silicone. Do make sure that you get an acid-free silicone. That's really important. Otherwise, your silicone will literally destroy your paper over time. It'll discolor it, and it just won't go well. So make sure you use acid-free silicone. Okay, and I think papertoolkits.com does also sell silicone. I think I got this one on Amazon, and if I can find it, I'll put a link in the description. Okay, so that's the basic process of paper tole. If you have any questions, if you'd like to see some more of this, if you'd like to see some progress on any of my pieces, leave a comment below. I'm happy to answer any questions that I didn't answer here in the video, but mostly I wanted this to just be an overview and introduction of this really fun craft that I don't think gets enough attention here in the States. So I hope you enjoyed seeing it. Spread some joy wherever you are today, as always, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.